Hey, it's Al Angelo from A Plus Racing, bringing you a video on how to keep your Spec Miata alive. Hey, even doing this video for my friends on Facebook. Aaron posted a picture yesterday, very sad, that his little red Miata, no, not that guy on the NA Miata forum Facebook, another red car. There's another one, believe it or not. We all know who I'm talking about. Anyhow, so he wrecked his car, he's upset, he thinks the thing's totaled. I see these kinds of posts all the time on Facebook. I'm like, is it total? Should I fix it? Should I not fix it? Aaron, that is definitely fixable, and I am doing this video for you, brother. Hey, so I own A Plus Racing. I rent out Spec Miatas. I have 15 Spec Miatas. They're rental race cars. Dude, they get wiped out all the time. You know, the cage alone costs $3,000. So I'm going to do whatever I can to save the car because they make me money. And so I've taken some cars that were wrecked pretty bad and have brought them back to life, okay? So I don't have one right now with me that is wrecked bad, thank God. But I want to go through some of the steps on what happens when we see a car get wrecked and whether or not it should be fixed or not. Most of them can always be fixed. The only time that I really walk away from the car is if the tunnel got bent. So if the floor pan got bent or the tunnel got bent, then I usually shy away from it. And I might show you one here a little later on in this video. I'm kind of putting this together last minute. So another buddy of mine on Facebook, he posted a picture of his car, and this is it right here. So it's obviously a Spec Miata. He's got a lot of money in it, a cage and all the stuff, just like I mentioned before. And some people look at this and say, oh yeah, it's wiped out. Now, in the case of Aaron's car, I didn't get approval to put his picture up yet, so I don't know if I will later on in the day. But his car dove underneath the car in front of it, so the hood got buckled pretty bad. So it looks to me like most of the damage is with the hood, all right? And probably the core support. The core support is actually the part that holds the radiator in place. So on this car right here, I can already tell you that once you get the fenders and the bumpers off and the headlight buckets, that you're going to see this frame rail and possibly that frame rail moved off to the side, okay? And so, yeah, if you took it to a body shop, they could easily put it up on a frame machine, tug this thing around, get it back lined up again, and you could get this car going again. Now, that costs money, and I know that I do charge my customers for damages when they rent the cars, but sometimes it's me driving or a friend or a family member, something, they wipe it out, I got to fix it myself. So I used to fix all the cars myself, but now most of the time I just take them to a body shop because I don't have to deal with it. Customers paying for damages, so most of the time I just let them deal with it. So, but I do have a few cars, and my body shop guy, if he's backed up, then I'll try to go ahead and fix it myself, which I can. So basically on something like this, what I would end up doing is I would take off the fenders, the bumpers, the headlight buckets. I would get the whole front of it stripped down, maybe pull the radiator out, because I can already tell you that core support's bent. The core support is the part that holds the radiator in place, okay? And I would just look to see where the damage is at, all right? Now, I don't have a frame machine at home, but I do have a come-along and a couple of trees, okay? And so I pulled these cars straight many, many times using those trees, a come-along, and a couple of chains, okay? And in some cases, we even tie the car to a post that's into the concrete, and we put a chain on it, we put it in neutral, and we keep rolling it back and forth. You've got to be kidding me. Friggin' schools, you can't trust them for power. Who didn't pay the power bill? We're going to have to come back after we get power. Talk to you later. Hey, okay, we're back from the power outage. You can't even trust a high school to pay the PG&E bill. Talk about rolling blackouts in California. Anyhow, we were talking about damage to the cars and how to fix it, if I remember right. It was a few hours ago. So somebody gave me this picture, allowed me to use it, and I see a few things going on. As I said, that we would take the bumper and the fenders off and the headlight buckets, finally see what's been out. Most of the time when I see stuff like this, I just pull it out with a come-along, all right? And I just pull it out, I tap it around, and I'm good, okay? It's very rarely that I need to go in and cut a section out and then replace it, all right? But I drew some stuff on the board, and I want to show you what's going on. So come on over here. All right. this picture right here, okay? I'm looking at the front of the car. So this is the right front tire and this is the left front tire. The frame rail looks like this. This is just a really thin piece of metal. Actually even comes out, it kind of goes like this because this is where the fender bolts to. This is the bottom part of it where like the charcoal canister would bolt to, stuff like that. And this is the actual frame rail right here, okay? So a lot of times this whole thing gets bent. There's a core support that goes across right here. It gets bent. A lot of the times I can go ahead and hammer that straight. And if any of this gets bent, I can kind of hammer that straight fairly well. But there are some key points here. If you look at this photo over here that I drew, now this is the tire, and we're looking at the left front from the side. All right, so the driver's side. And here's the shock. This is that thin sheet metal right here, and this is the frame rail. Notice how I drew this indentation. What that is that's a crumple zone. And a lot of parts on the car have crumple zones. The hoods, the frames, front and rear, the trunk, all of those have crumple zones that are meant to absorb the energy from the car in case of an accident. All right, so that the car will crinkle up around you, except you'll be protected. All right, so that's kind of the deal. So sometimes these accidents are big enough to where there's a wrinkle in the crumple zone, which is right here. Okay, this one is actually I kind of drew it off of it. This needs to be over here. This crumple zone is common to wrinkle in the car. Actually, this is the right front. That's better. Yeah, right front. So this is the right front tire. The shock absorber. Yeah, that makes sense. This is the front bumpers over here. All right. So most of the time when it bends the frame right here. Everything from the shock tower back is usually good. All right. There's usually no problem. It's usually from the shock tower forward. So if I got to cut a splice, I normally don't have to have the shock tower, but I do ask the wrecker to give me the shock tower, so I know I have plenty of material. And usually when I do this, I don't just like cut it off and then weld it on. So what I'll do, especially in the frame area, is I will notch it like this. Okay, so I notch it like that so I keep one part of it so I have more area to weld. All right, so it makes it stronger. And sometimes I'll even put a plate over the top of it once I've welded it in place and I know everything is right. Then I'll put it on top of it so that I make it even stronger than it was before. All right, but let's take a look back at this picture. I have a couple things I want to show you. Okay, so this is the headlight bucket on the car, the Spec Miata, all right? I can see that the charcoal canister is pushed over. You know, this is bent pretty good right here. This metal all right here is that super soft, thin sheet metal that holds these parts on. There ain't much to it. I've taken a hammer and just pounded it out, hammer and dolly, you know, kind of pound it out, straighten it all out so that I can get the stuff to bolt back on. But I can obviously see that it's bent and it's pushed over. And usually what happens is the whole thing gets pushed like this. So what I would do in this case is once I got the bumper off in the headlight bucket and the fender, then I would hook it up to a come along in a tree. Sometimes I hook it up to the trailer hitch of the truck, you know, and then I just start coming along real gently, tapping it, you know, to get it back into shape again. All right. And so if we look at the next picture, all right, this is a car, one of my cars, and this is my '89 car. It was wrecked at Laguna Seca, and this whole side was caved in. I got this picture because I sent it to a body shop about straightening the frame and stuff like that. And the frame rail is pretty straight right here. So we can see that it didn't take the hit. Shock tower's back here. It's just like I told you, the sheet metal sitting out here gets pretty bent up when you get in an accident. There ain't not much to these cars. So the core support got bent off this way. So what I did was I come along it to a tree. I take a chain, I wrap around the tree. I got the come along to go right in here with a core support. Sometimes I'll put a piece of metal there and I'll get my come along on there and I ratchet it, and I have the back of the car anchored to another tree, and I ratchet it back until this starts to come out straight, and I keep tapping and flattening and making sure everything goes good. I get the headlight bucket and make sure it fits. I take the fender and I bolt it on. You can see the bolt holes for the fender. So I bolt the fender on, and here's the bolt holes for the bumper, and I keep pulling and tapping and getting it straightened out until I see the bolt holes line up and the bumper bolts line up. Then I put the hood on and I see how does the gap look on the hood. And sometimes I got to move the hood a little bit one way or the other, but I get it to where the car looks pretty decent. All right. And a little later on in the video, I'll show you some videos of the car, or pictures of the car after I got done tapping around. I didn't plan on making this video, but some people on Facebook asked me if I would do a video on what do I do. So I don't have a car to show you, but I have some that I've done in the past, and I have this one that I already fixed. But what I'll do is I have it at my house. When I go home, I'll go ahead and I'll open up the hood and show you guys how I fixed this, and I got the headlight buckets and how I got the sheet metal all lined back up again. And I just started sanding it last night to prime it and to get it painted again. So this is totally doable, all right? So don't think for a minute that you got to total your favorite Miata just because you ran into the back of something or somebody hit you. Most of the time I just fix them. Matter of fact, I've never had a Miata wrecked so bad that I couldn't fix it. And I've been renting them out for over 15 years now. And believe me, some of them got shortened pretty bad. I got in an accident one time where a guy stopped at turn 5 at Thunder Hill. I plowed in the back of him, and a person plowed behind me, and another person plowed behind him, and another one, and my car was 18 inches shorter, okay? And so, matter of fact, this is the same car. So I already fixed this one once. That was the same car. I fixed that car. And it's still being rented out, well, as soon as I get it painted again. But you could do it. So don't throw away that Miata, all right? So I'm going to close for this part, but when I get home, I'll go ahead and I'll get some more video up on the cars that I've fixed and the one that I'm doing now, all right? So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Al from A Plus Racing. Yeah, we're in my garage. We're not at the school anymore. And we got Chance here. Chance is going to be helping out today. All right. And anyhow, so I wanted to show you the car that I was working on last week. All right. I'm still working on it. So this car was wrecked a few months ago. I've been sitting in my backyard for a while. And so I finally pulled it out, got it at the tree, and hooked up to the chains and the come along, and I got it fairly straightened out. So come on in here and take a look. So you can see here that, it's not perfect quite yet. I'm still doing some slight adjustments. I need to move this fender in a little bit, move the hood over a little. But I've got the basic, lines pretty lined up, at least good enough for a race car. It's perfect for a race car. So if I open up the hood and show you what I did underneath here. So this side got severely bent, all right? It was crushed way in over this way. This headlight bucket, the original one, was obliterated. So I got it all pounded out, and like I told you, I start tugging on it with a come along until I can get the bolt holes to all line up, and then I go ahead and put them in place, all right? Now, in this case, the headlight bucket didn't really line up that well on the studs that are for it. So I just cut the studs off and I just put some self-tapping screws in there. I did get this bolt on back here. It went on, so the headlight bucket is pretty secure, and so I don't have to worry about it falling off or anything like that. Got the bumper fitted on, got the air glide fitted on. This side went together fairly well. It was basically cosmetic with the fender, and the headlight bucket got bent. The bumper got ripped off, so it needs to be pressure washed, but the car runs good and we'll get it back up and going again. So and I need to put my hood pins on it, and so, but other than that, maybe some slight adjustments here and there, and I think that we're gonna get it. All right, so I've just been sanding it, getting ready to prime it, and then I'm just going to take it to a body shop friend of mine to have him paint it. The tools that I used are over here. And so for those of you that don't know what a come along is, this is a come along. Very easy to use. It'll come with instructions. You know, I just hook it up to various places on the vehicle and, you know, pull it kind of tight. And then I'll just use a hammer. Sometimes I'll use a bigger one. This is just kind of like a straightening hammer. And I've got a little dolly here. This isn't a real expensive one that I kind of use when I want to flatten the metal out. It might be curved. You know, it might be a little bit more flat. I might need a pointy edge. You know, so I use this here to kind of flatten the metal back out where it was. So I do use some larger hammers when I need to move the more metal. But the thing about moving the metal on a Miata, it's not a very heavy car. So the sheet metal is pretty thin. You don't have to like really beat on it very hard. So it doesn't take much. You know, give it some tugs with the come along, tap it around, and you might have to come along from a few places. You know, on this one here, I had to pull it that way. So, you know, I turned the car at an angle, and then I pulled it from this corner that way, and I kind of tapped the sheet metal straight this way, and then it was, you know, this bumper was way too far forward, so then I grabbed it from this side and I come along it straight back, tapped it this way, keeping the metal, you know, as flat and as straight as original as I could. And so it hasn't turned out too bad. You know, I should be able to get this painted in the next few weeks, and it'll be back out in rotation renting again. All right, okay, so don't hesitate to ask me some questions. If I get one, and I'm hoping I don't get one, that is bent up in the front end and I need to use the tree alignment again, then I'll go ahead and I'll make that video on that. But this is for my buddies on Facebook that, you know, Aaron posted and a couple other guys showed me their videos or pictures of their cars that got whacked to what they think is pretty hard. To me, I look at them like, man, I pull that out easy. So don't throw away that Miata, okay? You can fix it. Very rarely do I ever, you know, total a Miata, unless the floor pan is bent where it got hit so far. I've seen them where they bend the tunnel. If the tunnel's bent, it's beyond me, and I'm not going to do it. I'll just go buy a tub, have it, you know, roll cage, and then move all my parts over. All right? Okay. I think that's it. All right? Hey, thank you for watching my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for requesting this video. I hope it was helpful. I know I'm not having one where I'm doing the work, but I'm showing you what I'm doing or what I've already done. If I get one, I'll do it. All right? I'll see you at the racetrack. Bye now.